Hi, I'm Karl Kyler, your San Diego Realtor, and in this video, we're covering one of the most important interviews I'm probably gonna do for my channel. This is Curtis Kelly with West Ivy. I've known Curtis. Curtis, I think I met you back in 2014. Do you remember?
Yeah, I believe it was 2014. That's when I started in the home inspection industry. So that sounds about right.
Yeah, so you were with John Robinson Inspection Group. My clients actually found you, or they found John Robinson, then you came out, and that's how I met you. And you did a phenomenal job for my clients that I kind of kept pestering you afterwards to come out and do more of my inspections. Everyone at the John Robinson Inspection Group was wonderful, but as I explored the other inspectors there, I kept finding myself coming back to you because just not only the thoroughness of your inspections, but also the time you took with my clients at the end of the inspection, walking them through and putting a lot of things into context. Because I swear to God, when my clients get that inspection report, there's a lot of red on it, and it's not always like red like the house is falling down, you know. So it's like you do a really good job of I hate to say it this way, but like client management, but more so it's really just putting things into context.
Yeah, I found myself getting phone calls in the beginning to clarify some of the things in the report. So I found if at the end of the inspection, I could just go through everything, let them know what I found, the severity of each finding, and then also put it in the context as well. Let them know that the codes do change every year, every couple years. So something that was the code 2 years ago may now be a more strict code. So, like you explained, the GFCIs. So that's a great example of things that should be explained because it will show up in my report as a safety concern, but it's nothing more than just an outlet with a shutoff switch on it.
Right. Yeah. So we'll come back to codes. That's actually a question I want to address, but we'll come back to it. So more so than anything, I went on a little bit of a rant here. I am such a big supporter and advocate towards you. I recommend you. You are the first inspector I recommend to all my clients with every time they buy. And also, more importantly, we're going to address this, my sellers as well. I ask my sellers to contact you before we go to market. Before we jump into any of that, go ahead and just give us an introduction. I know I did the introduction for you, but tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about West Ivy, your history in the business. Just lay it all out for us.
My name is Curtis Kelly. I'm the owner of West Ivy Home Inspections. I have one of the lead home inspection companies here in Southern California. We inspect everything from the Mexico border all the way up to LA County. I've been in the business for over a decade now in real estate and home inspections, and we're one of the lead inspection companies here in Southern California.
I think one time you had told me at an inspection, you guys do like around 1,000 inspections a year. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, we do roughly 1,000 inspections a year, approximately 100 inspections per month.
I can't imagine that there's much of anything on an inspection or at a house that you're not familiar with to some degree.
Oh, for sure. After all of this years being a home inspector, for almost 10 years, doing 500 personally per year, that's thousands of homes that I've seen. And there's not too much that I haven't seen out there. Some of the newer codes, things have changed. Outside of that, I've pretty much seen every scenario that could possibly be.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the process of what you do versus like another type, like a plumbing inspector or an electrician inspector or a roof inspector or anything like that. Tell us exactly what you do.
So as a home inspector, what I do is I go in and I look at all the major systems and components of the home. So being different than a roof inspector, an electric inspector, or electrician, we look at all of the components. So I look at the heating, I look at the plumbing, I look at the electrical. So I'm a generalist and I'll let you know if any of these systems need further attention. If so, then I'll recommend for you to have it further evaluated by an electrician or a plumber or whatever it may be. But the benefit of having a home inspector versus just a single contractor look at the property is you pay one price, which is roughly $500. And I inspect the entire house from the structure. So we're looking at the foundation, we're looking at the roof, we're checking all the doors and cabinets. So I'm giving you a comprehensive report of the house. And from there, you can decide what's the most important things that need to be looked at further. So, of this entire home, there may only be one or two details that need to be expounded on further. That's where I come in to let you know what those two details are.
You as a general home inspector are also like a major cost saving asset for my clients. So sometimes you'll say, for example, here's a really good example. You'll test the HVAC system and you'll be like, hey, it's not pumping out enough cool air, or it's just not getting as cold as it should be. Well, instead of me having my client hire an HVAC inspector to come out and pay that fee, we can just write that, like, you've determined enough for us to tell us, hey, the AC is not working. I just write in the request repairs, get the AC serviced and get it fixed. Like, we don't necessarily need a professional inspector to come out and inspect it to only tell us, hey, yeah, it needs to be serviced or whatever. We can just write, hey, get it replaced so it is working, or replace it with a new one. And we can just leave it that way. And that kind of save my client some money. Some of those other additional inspections, like for example, like a chimney inspector, holy crap, that's like $500. That's another $500. An electrician is going to be another $300 to $400. A plumber is going to be another $300 to $400. A pool, I think, was $350. And instead of my clients just hiring all of those things at once, you can come in and say, hey, you know what? The electrical looks sufficient. I don't see any red flags here for you to have to hire an electrician. With that being the case, what are the most common issues you find during home inspections?
Some of the most common issues that we find are leaks under the sink. That's really, really common. Most of the time, there's leaks and people never see it because you have your stuff underneath the sink. Those things can lead to wood damage. It could lead to mold growth, which can cause sickness. That's one of the most common things that I see. One of the other things that we run across here in Southern California is grading issues. So you want to make sure that water runs away from your house. In Southern California, it doesn't rain that much. So when we do receive rain, that's when you really notice how your house doesn't have the proper grading and water may drain towards your house, which may cause water intrusion issues. So it's one of the things that's commonly overlooked here in Southern California. So you really want to make sure that you have ground drains, you keep those clean, and that it doesn't lead into any type of additional structural issues or mold.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So let me ask. So first thing, when you find a leak under the sink, do you default to suggest that a mold sample or a mold inspection, whichever the language you use, do you default to suggest that should be taken if you find a leak under the sink?
No, not at all. A leak under the sink is pretty common. Only time we would suggest to have it further evaluated by a mold specialist is if we see any type of organic growth like black spots. Most of the time, and most connections underneath the sink are simply hand tightened. So it's something that a simple handyman or your uncle can simply tighten up and keep from leaking in the future. So it's a really super easy fix.
All right, let's talk about some of the tools that you use during your inspection. So I know I've seen since 2014 or 15, whenever we started working together, you've got a plethora of things that you come in with and kind of checking. Walk us through some of the tools that you use to really source issues for the buyers.
Yeah, some of the tools that I'm really excited about are the FLIR camera. So that's a thermal imaging camera. I use that camera to look for temperature differentials in the walls, any type of thermal anomalies. So if there's any moisture in the wall, it will often show up in the camera as a blue area. So that's allowing me to see a leak that may have happened from upstairs. I'll then use a moisture meter, which is an electric meter, where I can actually probe that area. And if it gives the proper signal, then I'll know that it is wet. It also has a like a depth finder moisture area too, where I can actually look beyond the surface and see if there's moisture like 2 inches beyond the surface. So those two things work really well together. The FLIR camera, which is the thermal imaging camera, and the moisture meter for finding leaks that we would have normally never found without this new technology. Also, the FLIR camera can be used for checking the heating and the air conditioning. So I'm able to see what the temperatures are coming out of the registers, which are the vents. And then also there could be separation of the ducts inside of the wall. So this camera will be able to let me see if there's a leak in the ducting somewhere. So it's not being as efficient and it's just blowing air only into the attic space. So that camera is like really kind of changed the industry a lot. Um, the other thing that we do now is a sewer camera. So this is a 200-foot camera that we can use to put into the main sewer drain of the home. And we're able to see if there's any type of debris or obstructions that's going to cause a blockage of water in your home and cause sewage to back up in your home and cause health issues. So that camera is a huge help. Like I said, it's 200 feet, so it will extend all the way from the rear of your home all the way out to the main city connection, and we're able to see if you have a clear line, if it needs to be serviced or repaired, and that camera can save you a ton of money. So a simple sewage repair where you have to dig up some concrete in your front yard can easily run from 10,000 up to 30,000. So to be able to find that during the home inspection process is huge. Those two items I think have been the most groundbreaking in the home inspection industry. Along with one other thing I forgot is the drone. So we now have a drone that we use to fly and check the roof tiles. When we first started, we had a camera on the pole. So we would simply put a camera on the pole and we'll walk around with this thing that looks like a fishing line. And we would try to snap pictures from different angles there. But that was so cumbersome. It was so difficult to get the proper angles. But now with new technology, we can fly a drone. We can get right in there. We can see all angles of the house, and we can take a nice, comprehensive photo of the entire space. So we're able to count all of the solar panels. We're able to look at the whole roof as a whole system, which is great. So the drone has also been very, very helpful.
So, Curtis, one of the values that I bring to my clients is, as a matter of fact, this is an immediate result of you. So thank you for giving me this. Over all the years that I've been on inspections with you, and recently I've been doing a lot with Jared as well, I do as best I can to show up to all the inspections and go through the walkthrough with you, not to advocate on your behalf, never, right? But you've taught me things to watch out for. So when I'm out there looking at properties with my clients, I can say, hey, this could be an issue here, or like you referenced earlier, you talked about grade. I can see those points of grade, or water staining. Hey, this is going to show up in the inspection report. I can red flag a lot of items as a result of all the inspections I've attended with, that you've done. For those out there that are not working with me, and maybe they're working with a friend or a family member, especially someone that's new in the industry, right? That doesn't have the experience, that doesn't have the knowledge of having gone through a lot of inspections, and maybe they don't even have an inspector with your kind of like history and knowledge and experience. Let's put that as the key word right there. Your level of experience, 1,000 inspections a year. What should buyers be looking for as they're doing home tours? That should be like, that could pop up as a red flag and say, hey, you know what? This house might look great, but no, these are red flag issues. Like, you should either, one, prepare to get a tough report, or two, you should just walk away from this house right now.
I say the number one thing you can see as you're walking up to a house is you really want to take a look at the roof. It's really hard for most people to determine the age of the roof and the condition of the roof, but I'll give you an example. If it's a shingle roof, you're looking at how shiny the roof is. So if you walk up to the roof and it's not all black and it's really shiny, that means that it's really old and the fibers are starting to become exposed, and it reflects off the sun and it gets really, really shiny. So that would be the first thing I would tell someone to look at, because the cost for a roof isn't cheap. The other thing, once you're inside of the house, you really want to check to see if you see any cracks in the wall. There's two different type of cracks. You're really looking for cracks that are diagonal cracks. That may mean that the foundation is shifting and settling in areas. So, but it's not just one crack. You want to look for a pattern of cracks. So if you see a crack on this side, that's a diagonal, and you see a crack on this side that's also a diagonal, it may means that this side of the house may be shifting. If it's a vertical crack, that's just simply where two pieces of drywall is coming together, and then over time the tape starts to peel, so you'll get a vertical crack. So looking for cracks, looking for roof, roof quality are two main things. And then also, if you walk into the front of a house and there's a lot of vegetation, if you have a lot of big trees, you have a lot of huge bushes, you got to keep in mind that that sewer drain flows right underneath those areas towards the street. So you may want to have a sewer scope to make sure that root intrusion didn't happen into that main drain. So over time, those tree roots, just how it can simply lift up the side of a concrete walkway, it can simply lift up a plumbing pipe, cause a sewage leak, and then from that point, it can enter its way in and cause a blockage. So I think those three things are probably top of the list. And then lastly, anything moisture related. So once you're inside of the house, really look for stains on the ceiling where things could have been leaking, and then funny smells too. It could be from water sitting in different areas. So I think those are probably the top, just if you're walking through a house or you're doing a home tour, things to kind of look at.
So for first time buyers, like buying a home, you're looking at an entire market. They're trying to balance the financial aspect of this whole thing, and then they got to go through all these inspections. And a lot of this, I educate my clients on. The costs for these inspections are non-recoverable, which means if we walk away, they don't get that money back. That was like their insurance money. That was the money that they put up. They said, hey, we're going to invest $500 or let's say $700 or whatever for the extra add-ons because they're worth every cent. We're going to invest this into West Ivy with Curtis, Jared, or Francisco to determine if we want to spend $1 million on this house, right? That seems like a really, really good deal. That almost seems like you're undercharging, to be honest. Like if you can help someone avoid investing in $1 million house, that could just result in, I think tens and tens of thousands of dollars is an understatement, but let's just be conservative. Tens of thousands of dollars, like a $700 or even $1,000 inspection cost is easily, just, I don't want to say dispensable, but it is very, very much worth the value. So my long-winded question right there, what advice do you have for first-time buyers specifically that are dealing with all of this stuff, that are managing the fact that they're new to the market dynamics, the financial aspect, and now they got to go through inspections?
Number one, just be mindful that the report is going to be filled with comments. It's going to be a long report. It's going to have over 100 findings. Sometimes it's 20 to 30 pages, and it's going to look really scary. Just keep in mind your home inspector should be able to communicate those findings to you and explain what's important and what's not important. And from those findings, you should be able to speak with your agent and make a determination if this is or if this isn't the house for you. My suggestion for most people is, things look really easy on HGTV, right? Oh, we can just knock down this wall. Well, we can just do this. We could do that. A lot of people don't want to spend money on things that's not as sexy, which is like grading. You don't want to spend money on the roof. So, most people's money is set aside for the new couch. It's set aside for, maybe we're going to paint the walls. So keep in mind that most of the money that you spend on a fixer upper is going to go to fixing that property up. So if you can find a property that you're comfortable with and that is in pretty good shape, just know that you may have to spend some money on some of the things that's not as sexy. Just really be careful of the property that you're purchasing, and really go through that inspection report with your agent and really understand what the important things are and make sure that you focus on those things.
The last question I want you to cover, and maybe you can just tell us the value that you bring in this context. I am a strong advocate of my sellers having a home inspection done before we go to market. Now, obviously, I can create a list of reasons, but why don't you tell us like the value that you bring for the seller side of the transaction or for the seller's market, like what value you bring to sellers by getting a pre-home inspection done before they go to market.
Yeah, I've been doing quite a few of pre-listing inspections lately. I've been working with, I think, 3 or 4 of one of the top flippers here in San Diego, as well as regular home sellers. And the benefit of having an inspection prior to putting the property on the market is I'm able to go through and find all of those things that's not functioning properly and allow you to address that before it's found by the buying party's home inspector. So there's a few flippers that I work with now. A lot of times they'll get properties on the market, they'll get things together, but it's just not functioning properly. So my job is to go in and actually function that HVAC unit. Sometimes some home sellers haven't used their HVAC unit in forever. Oh man, we live in San Diego. I haven't used my heater in like 2 years. Or if you live in a 2-story house, that downstairs bathroom, I haven't used that downstairs bathroom to take a shower in over 2 years. My kids left, so I never used it. So my job is to actually go in there, function those things to see if anything is wrong with it, and let you know. So that way you could jump ahead of it and before the buyer comes. Also, there's a couple of agents as well where if the property is in really disrepair, I'll do the home inspection and I'll make a list of everything that's wrong with the property. And they will actually market the property like we've had a home inspection. We know everything that's wrong with the property. So this is how it is. It is what it is. We're not fixing anything, and we've priced it because we know that we have all of these issues going on with the property. So there's kind of two sides. One, to jump ahead and to fix those things prior to the buyer coming, and some just to say, hey, this is the condition of the property. It is what it is. That's why we have it priced at the price is on the market for.
That is so financially invaluable for sellers. Like, so if you're a seller watching this video, Curtis and West Ivy should be on the top list. Even if you're thinking of selling a year out, it'd probably be advantageous to have Curtis or someone from his team come out, inspect the property now, and then you have the next 12 months to work on any items. Because I'll tell you this right now, as an agent, and I do this, I personally do this. If we find an item, I'm not looking for the most cost effective contractor on the market to come out and give me a bid on resolution or to fix an issue. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to call an inspector out, a specialized inspector to come, or contractor to come and fix this item and give me the worst case scenario, because we can't fix it right now. So I need you to consider, what is it going to cost to fix this, and what other issues can come out while you're doing this, because we're going to take on this repair after we close escrow. But in this context, a seller could really find the major issues, address them in a much more affordable fashion. And if they do it enough in advance, it's not like they're getting hit with a lot of big bills or a lot of work to do prior to going to market. So that's wonderful. It's invaluable what you and your team provide to the seller side of the transaction as well, pre going to market. In the description below, if you're watching this video, I have Curtis's website in the description below. You can find all of his contact information on there. So you can go on there and you can schedule the inspections on his website, which is super, super easy to do. I do it personally. I have my clients do it personally. It's a cakewalk to do. You can schedule your inspection there. Or if you wanted to get in touch with Curtis because you had some questions, maybe you're in escrow and you're like, I don't know if I should do these things. His contact information is on his website as well. Go ahead and reach out to him directly, either by email or by, if there's a phone number on there, and he'll get in touch with you to answer any questions, maybe pre-inspection questions before you figure out if you want to add a sewer scope or whatever, maybe a mold inspection or something like that. All right, Curtis, thanks for being here. And thank you for watching this video. As always, I'm Karl Kyler, your San Diego Realtor. I'll see you in the next video.